Stoicism versus Buddhism. How both address suffering. Hello, and welcome to our channel, Stoicism in Practice. In today's video, we are going to explore a fascinating topic: Stoicism versus Buddhism. How both address suffering. Over the next few minutes, we will dive into the philosophies of Stoicism and Buddhism to understand how these two ancient traditions deal with human suffering. But before we begin, I would like to invite you to subscribe to our channel to receive more inspiring content like this. By subscribing, you will join a community dedicated to self-development, personal growth, and well-being. Click the subscription button below and become part of this transformative journey. Now, let's get started. Introduction to Stoicism. Stoicism is a school of Hellenistic philosophy, founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium around the early 3rd century BCE. Among its most famous practitioners are Seneca, Epictetus, and the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Stoic philosophy teaches that virtue is sufficient for achieving happiness, and that our mental and emotional states matter more than external events. Principles of Stoicism. Dichotomy of control. Stoics believe that we should focus only on what we can control, thoughts and actions, and accept what we cannot control, external events. By concentrating on what we can do and releasing worry about what is beyond our control, we can significantly reduce suffering. For example, instead of being distressed by others' behavior, Stoics suggest focusing on how we respond to that behavior. Logos. For the Stoics, the universe is governed by a rational principle called logos. Living in harmony with the logos is essential for achieving inner peace. It is believed that by acting in accordance with reason, we align ourselves with the natural order of the cosmos, helping us cope more serenely with adversities and events beyond our control. Stoic virtues. Stoics value virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, believing that a virtuous life leads to true happiness. These virtues guide daily actions and decisions, helping to cultivate a character that endures suffering with dignity and resilience. An introduction to Buddhism. Buddhism is a religion and philosophy founded by Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha, in the 6th century BCE in what is now Nepal. Buddhism focuses on the quest for enlightenment and the overcoming of human suffering. Principles of Buddhism. The Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths form the core of Buddhist teachings and pertain to suffering and its cessation. They are the truth of suffering, dukkha, recognizing that life is permeated by suffering, whether physical or emotional. The truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya, identifying that suffering arises from attachment and incessant desire. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha, learning that it is possible to overcome suffering by eliminating attachment. The truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga, following the Noble Eightfold Path to achieve the cessation of suffering. The Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is the practical route to overcoming suffering, consisting of 8 practices: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These steps aim to cultivate an ethical and mentally disciplined life, essential for the cessation of suffering. Karma and rebirth. Buddhism teaches that our actions, karma, influence our future existences through the cycle of rebirth. Good actions result in positive experiences, while bad actions generate suffering. Understanding karma motivates Buddhists to act ethically and consciously. How Stoicism addresses suffering. Acceptance and resilience. Stoics believe that accepting suffering and adversity is crucial for inner peace. Facing pain and challenges with resilience and courage, rather than avoiding or ignoring them, is a key aspect of Stoicism. A common Stoic practice is premeditation of evils, where one visualizes possible future difficulties to prepare emotionally. For example, by imagining the loss of material possessions, a Stoic prepares to face this eventuality without being overwhelmed by sadness or despair. Internal control. The basic premise of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, stated that some things are under our control, our opinions, desires, and aversions, and some are not, our body, wealth, reputation. Focusing on what we can control and serenely accepting what we cannot is the key to reducing suffering. For instance, we cannot control others' opinions of us, but we can control how we react to those opinions. Virtue as a path to happiness. For Stoics, virtue is sufficient for a good and happy life. This means living according to reason and virtues like justice, courage, wisdom, and temperance. While suffering is an inevitable part of life, if we act virtuously, we can maintain a serene and balanced mind. For instance, practicing justice and honesty in all circumstances, even if it causes immediate discomfort, will result in a more fulfilling and dignified life. Daily reflection. Many Stoics practice daily reflection, reviewing their actions and thoughts at the end of each day. By meditating on what they did, right and wrong, they sought continuous improvement, which helped maintain peace of mind and better handle suffering. For example, one might reflect on how they responded to a stressful event and think of ways to react more rationally and less emotionally in the future. How Buddhism addresses suffering. Understanding suffering. Buddhism starts with the acceptance and understanding of suffering, as taught in the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha taught that life is permeated by suffering, dukkha, but there is a way out. First, we need to understand the true nature of suffering, its causes, and how to overcome it. For instance, recognizing that constant dissatisfaction with material things or relationships is a form of suffering can motivate us to seek healthier alternatives. Impermanence. A central idea in Buddhism is impermanence, anicca. Everything in life is transient, including suffering. Understanding this impermanence helps practitioners not to cling to suffering, viewing it as a passing experience. This provides a sense of relief and peace. For instance, when facing the loss of a loved one, understanding that the pain of loss will pass with time can alleviate suffering. Detachment and non-attachment. While Stoicism emphasizes controlling emotional responses, Buddhism focuses on detachment. Suffering arises from attachment and desire, tanha. By practicing detachment and reducing desires, Buddhists learn to experience life more peacefully, without being dominated by negative emotions. For instance, reducing attachment to material possessions can lessen the anxiety and dissatisfaction often associated with the incessant pursuit of more possessions. Meditation and mindfulness. Meditation and mindfulness are essential practices in Buddhism. Regular meditation helps develop a calm and focused mind, while mindfulness promotes full awareness of the present moment. This allows practitioners to observe their thoughts and feelings without judgment, accepting them, and eventually transcending suffering. For instance, meditation can help deal with anxiety by allowing the person to observe anxious thoughts and let them pass without attachment. Compassion and loving kindness, metta. Another key practice in Buddhism is cultivating compassion and loving kindness, metta. Developing a compassionate attitude toward oneself and others helps reduce suffering by fostering a sense of connection and altruism. By cultivating metta, practitioners learn to soften their hearts, reducing self-imposed suffering and nurturing a compassionate approach to others' pain. For instance, responding with compassion to the suffering of others can create a more welcoming environment where individuals support each other in overcoming difficulties. Contrasting Stoicism and Buddhism. Although both philosophies offer powerful tools for dealing with suffering, their approaches and emphases differ. Here are some key contrasts. Nature of control. Stoicism emphasizes controlling one's own responses to external events to alleviate suffering. In contrast, Buddhism focuses on detachment from attachment and acceptance of impermanence as a way to transcend suffering. Stoics concentrate on developing rational responses, while Buddhists seek liberation from desires and attachments. Emotional management versus emotional transcendence. Stoics advocate for managing and rationalizing emotions to cultivate inner peace. They believe that by practicing virtue and aligning with reason, one can achieve a state of serenity. In contrast, Buddhists aim to transcend emotions through detachment and mindfulness, seeking a state of enlightenment beyond suffering and emotional turbulence. Focus on virtue versus focus on mindfulness. Stoicism emphasizes leading a virtuous life according to rational and moral principles. Virtue is seen as the path to happiness. While Buddhism also values ethical conduct, it places significant emphasis on mindfulness and meditation practices as essential tools for overcoming suffering and achieving enlightenment. Community and practice. Both traditions value community and practice. Stoics often engaged in philosophical discussions and reflections with fellow practitioners, while Buddhists rely on the Sangha, community of practitioners, for support, guidance, and collective practice. However, the methods of practice differ, with Stoicism focusing on intellectual exercises and Buddhists engaging in meditation and mindfulness. Conclusion. Both Stoicism and Buddhism offer deep and practical approaches to understanding and overcoming suffering. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, practice virtue, and develop resilience, while Buddhism guides us to a deeper understanding of suffering, mindfulness practice, and the path to enlightenment. By integrating the wisdom of both philosophies, we can cultivate a balanced perspective on suffering and develop a more resilient and compassionate approach to life's challenges. Whether you are drawn to the rational principles of Stoicism or the meditative practices of Buddhism, both paths offer valuable insights and tools for navigating the complexities of the human experience. Stoicism offers a practical and timeless approach to facing the challenges of modern life. By incorporating these principles into your daily life, you can cultivate a more resilient mindset, find inner peace, and achieve a greater sense of purpose and fulfillment. Try applying these teachings and discover how they can transform your life for the better. If you enjoyed this video and wish to receive more inspiring content on philosophy, self-development, and well-being, don't miss the opportunity to join our community. Subscribe to our channel now by clicking the subscription button below. By subscribing, you'll gain access to new videos every week designed to help you find resilience, inner peace, and meaning in your life. Don't miss this chance to be part of a journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Click the subscription button now and start your journey with us. In this special video, we will dive into the fascinating debate between Stoicism and Buddhism on how to approach human suffering. Learn about the ancient philosophies that offer different perspectives and strategies for dealing with life's difficulties. Don't miss the opportunity to embark on a philosophical journey and discover how these two ancient traditions have much to offer our understanding and overcoming of suffering. Get ready to expand your horizons and enrich your personal journey of growth and well-being.